Hey, this is Scott of Cosplay Bonsai. I'm here again with another project. This will be a plushie, or at least I'll attempt to make one. I found a pattern online that should get me started. I'll link it in the description. It's a DeviantArt person. I'm going to try to do a Kaitou Kid plushie, which is from Detective Conan, and just see how it goes. Like I said, I'll start off with this and do a lot of custom stuff, and hopefully it'll turn out pretty decent. Each thing here, you got the face section, body section, arms, ears, and chin. That'll be skin colored, at least for the base part. I only have one piece of skin color, so hopefully I'll have enough. Otherwise, these are relatively cheap, 25 cents per sheet. And then you have two things here. You have a back of head and side of head, which will be the color of hair. You have the body colored sections drawn out here on a piece of felt. You got the two leg and torso sections, the head, 4 hands, ears, and then a neck section. I'm going to cut those out and then start attaching them together, and I'll move towards the hair sections after that once I put the body section together. One caveat of how I had everything drawn out on the felt is that you need to have your lines here that you make on the exterior, so when you sew things you're gonna put it inside out, outside in, or whatever you want to say, and then that will be the good part. So with the hands, you need to flip over your pattern for 2 of them and then draw it out. That way you'll get the proper setup. You don't want the 2 lines like this, because when you flip it around you'll have lines on one side. So you just have to do that. I'm going to cut out 2 more. So I finished sewing the leg and torso section. I used a number 11 on my CS6000i Brother sewing machine, and I'll just reverse this and then fill it with the padding. This is quilting padding, but I can still just pull it apart and use it normally. So I'm going to do that. I'll do the hands and figure out what I need to do next. Here's the torso section with 1 arm attached. I put the stuffing in there, and then I did hand sewing on the arm here. I hate that stuff, but it's kind of a necessary thing in this case. And then I'm going to do the other arm, finish the head thing, and then work on the custom stuff so I can attempt to make it look like the character. Now I'm starting to get to the harder part. I have the body section finished. I have to make the face, which will be applied to this. So you need 2 eyes and a mouth. I was thinking of using the actual material, and then with the sewing machine it can do various stitches. You might be able to make lines and such. I have my tablet here. I'm going to trace his eye so that I get it kind of a proper look to it on paper, and then I'm going to cut out maybe a white piece and then a black piece and a little blue piece or whatever, and attempt to sew everything together. We'll see how it works. It's pretty difficult to sew small little pieces together, especially with a material like this, but we'll see. I'm going to try it out. So making a little bit of progress. I cut out a piece with paper, then I drew it with ink pen around there, and then I sewed this with I think it was number 4 on my sewing machine, and then I varied the width of it all the way down. I had 2 different widths for the bottom, and then from 3 to 1 on the top. I'll do something similar with that. Things are moving along. I messed this up a little bit, but it still looks decent. I sewed lots of stuff here. I made the eyebrows with the sewing machine. There's a little mark there from ink, but I don't think there's anything I can do with it. I'm not going to redo this at this point, because I think it looks decent. Still need to add a mouth, so I'm going to try that. Now I was thinking of adding like with the sewing machine white dots for the reflections, but do that and move on, keep going. Finish the face part, at least as much as I feel like doing here. Added the little white dots to the eyes and the mouth. So that's about it for that part. I'm going to do the ears and then figure out how to construct the head itself. So now I have the face pretty much done. I have the eyepiece. Not going to sew this down because you have to fold it in when you put everything together. This is the neck piece, I believe. And the ears go like this. So you just have to be pretty careful with all of everything when you assemble it and then eventually sew it together. The hair goes on top. This is the back of the head. And this, I believe, attaches something like that. Then you have to fold them in before you do that, but I'll get to that. Keep going. Then assemble the entire body and then work on the clothes and everything. Have the back head piece finished here. So like this with the notch, and then you also do the two little V's that were in the pattern. Let me pull that up. So you just connect those to give you a nice rounded shape. And for the chin section, you have to use the good side on the top. Then you'll attach the two here. Here's everything pinned together. You've got the main face section, the chin piece right here, and then of course the hair pieces that attach to the chin. You want the bad side on the top because everything inside is what will be visible. You've got the hair under here pinned on top with those. From here is the topmost section, and inside you've got the ears with the good side, you know, as it is in there. That's what the back looks like. So what you need to do is sew skin color thread on the bottom and then black or whatever hair color on the top here. You don't want to sew these ends, the hairpiece or the side hair pieces. Still do something with that later. So just be careful of those two. Sew this up and see how it turns out. So finish sewing the face. Looks pretty good. I kind of messed up a little bit on the ears. You need to have the ears a little jutted out so that they attach better, but they seem alright. You got the face here. Now you need to attach the back head piece. So I'm going to put this back inside out so that I don't hit anything. And then the goal really is just to sew it properly down like this on each side. And then you'll have a full headpiece that you can stuff. I finished everything on the main body itself, so the head and all that. I think it looks relatively decent. So now I need to figure out how to make clothes, and it's going to be a lot of custom stuff. He's got the suit, he's got the top hat. Managed to make a little shirt. It took quite a while. Lots of little revisions. So I used the body and the arm with some extra. It's still kind of tight, so I ended up revising it. Put a little piece of Velcro. I also added these front panels and a panel for the top part here. So now I'm going to try to make a tie. Tie here out of the felt This is actually two pieces sandwiched together, and then first I cut the shape and tried to get the proper length, and then I put it on a large piece and then sewed 3 full lines of thread through it. The reasoning there is because this felt is not good for this type of force. I'm going to try to actually tie it like a real tie, and I think it's, or at least hopefully it's long enough, because the plushie's neck is a lot thicker than a real person's, so you can't base it off a real tie length, but hopefully it'll work. Finished the tie, tied it up, used a half Windsor knot. It actually worked out a lot better than I had imagined. So got that going, so he's even got full tie. Now I'm going to make the pants for the suit coat, and then suit coat, cape. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that eyepiece thing. I'll probably think of something. And let's see, the hat too. That's a big one. Now I'm making the pants for him. My first attempt didn't work out. A little bit too tight. And I wanted to make the legs, bottom part a little bit longer. So here's my second attempt. You can see it's quite a bit larger than the main form. Just finished the pants. I did sew the top part. The bottom looks decent. I think I'll leave those, otherwise it'll be too high and it'll look kind of weird. So it turned out nice. My first attempt at the coat was not that great, but I'm going to try it again. Still have enough material. I did a whole bunch of revisions, just didn't work out too well. But I think that I learned a little bit, so I'm going to try it again. I have the back 2 sides with this, and then I'm going to wrap it around like I did this last bit around there, and I'll only sew it back here so that nothing shows up in the front. Finished the suit coat. That was a real pain in the butt. I went through a few different revisions, but it's relatively decent. Good enough, I think. Now I will go on to the hat and also the cape, which attaches to the suit coat. Maybe I'll do the cape next. Next up is the cape. I put 2 buttons on the suit coat that hopefully it'll attach decently. Should have had them a little lower maybe, but I think they're alright. So there's that. I just need to draw out some type of cape. I think it goes down to about here, and then maybe come up around here. So about like that, and then I'll have 2 loops. I think what I'm planning on doing, this will be sewn holes. So I'll have gray on the inside and then white on the outside. So that means I'll need 2, have 2 pieces obviously, cut those out and then do the inside out sewing. So I finished the cape. I haven't tried it on yet, hopefully it fits. What I did here, I had the gray and the white all with the same form. I sewed them inside out and I flipped it around, and then I put another seam on the outside so that closes the bottom up, because you have to flip it right side out when you're finished with the first sewing part. And I did 2 buttonholes. Those are a trip. With felt and things, if you don't have enough spacing, it gets caught up and it doesn't want to finish the buttonhole, but I eventually managed it without screwing it up too much. The cape turned out pretty decent. Maybe I should have made this a little longer or something, but it does fit. Next up, I have to figure out how to make the top hat, which is probably going to be pretty difficult. I'm not sure. I do have some of this easy felt that someone gave me, and of course more white felt. It has a blue ring around the top, but to figure that out. So I cut out a form, and I just slightly adjusted things as I went, but I put some of the easy felt inside, sandwiched between two pieces, so it has a nice solid feel to it. So I think what I need to do now is cut this open and then have these slots poke up, and then wrap around will be the top hat part. Then of course there's a top to the top hat. So I have this, I cut the inside. This will be the shaft. You have the blue line like the character has. So I'm just going to sew this, and then you wrap it around actually this direction. You sew those ends and you flip it outside proper, and then I'll have to make a top and somehow attach it, probably hand sewing, which I dread, but you gotta do what you gotta do. The hat's coming along pretty good. I have 2 more of these to sew down. That's a real trip, it takes quite a while. And then I made the top with the easy felt inside, so it's hard and not see-through. This will go on top somehow. I'm not sure 100% how I'm going to do that, but we'll see. Here is the finished plushie. I skipped quite a bit in the video, sorry about that. There's lots of trial and error and such. So I have the hat here, I finished that, and I also attached it just with one thread to the head so that it doesn't fall off too easily. We've got, of course, the tie, the shirt, the pants, and the button down. That jacket was really difficult. Well, at least trying to get something somewhat like a suit coat. I did put gloves on him. It does look like he has gloves in the show, but those can easily come off. Just pretty simple, one of the more simple things on here. And here I made his eyepiece string thing, and I attached it to the ear because this I don't think is strong enough to, keep it there, keep it straight and all. And here I just sewn some design things, and then I hand sewn the back attached to it, and then attached to the ear. And of course the cape with the 2 buttons, and that's about it. Took about 3 days, so I don't know if I'll do one anytime soon. Maybe something a little simpler, but I think it turned out nice, and I'm happy with it. Hopefully the person likes it as well. So that's about it. Scott of Cosplay Bonsai, thanks.